Cancer is a complex disease that has been studied for over a century. While early theories focused on genetics as the primary cause of cancer, emerging evidence has shifted attention to metabolic dysfunction, chronic inflammation, and dietary factors. This explainer will help you understand how inflammation, metabolism, glucose, and glutamine fermentation contribute to cancer, and how lifestyle interventions like a ketogenic diet, fasting, and exercise can support your body's natural tumor-fighting systems. Back in the 1920s, a German scientist named Otto Warburg noticed something unusual about cancer cells. Unlike healthy cells, which use oxygen to turn glucose or sugar into energy efficiently, cancer cells prefer a process called fermentation, even when oxygen is available. This Warburg effect showed cancer cells relying heavily on glucose, producing energy quickly but wastefully through glycolysis, a type of fermentation. Warburg argued that cancer might be a metabolic disease, a problem with how cells handle energy rather than just a genetic fluke. His work laid the groundwork for thinking about cancer beyond mutations. Fast forward to today, and researchers have expanded on this idea. Recent studies show cancer cells don't just crave glucose. They also depend on glutamine, another nutrient, to fuel their growth. Glutamine, a non-essential amino acid, provides nitrogen and carbon for the synthesis of DNA, proteins, and lipids. Glutamine fermentation helps cancer cells build proteins and other molecules they need to multiply. A 2024 study in Nature highlighted how tumors adapt their metabolism, shifting between glucose and glutamine depending on what's available. This flexibility makes them tough to stop, but it also hints at a weakness we can target. The mapping of the human genome in the early 2000s promised to revolutionize cancer treatment. Researchers believed that identifying genetic mutations would lead to targeted therapies and a cure. However, 2 decades later, it has become clear that the genetic origin theory has significant limitations. 1. Inconsistent results. Many cancers do not have a single driver mutation, but rather a complex array of mutations. 2. Non-specific mutations. Mutations associated with cancer are often found in healthy cells, indicating that they are not the sole cause of malignancy. 3. Failure to translate. Despite advances in genomics, most targeted therapies have had limited success in improving long-term survival. This shift in perspective has renewed interest in cancer's metabolic roots, with chronic inflammation and metabolic dysfunction now recognized as major contributors. Today, evidence increasingly points to chronic inflammation and metabolic dysfunction as key players in cancer. Inflammation is your body's response to injury or stress, like a fire that won't go out. When it lingers from poor diet, obesity, or infections, it damages cells and tissues, promoting DNA mutations, immune suppression, and creates an environment where cancer can thrive. Metabolic dysfunction happens when your body struggles to manage energy, often tied to too much sugar and processed carbs in our diets. This floods cells with glucose, feeding cancer while stressing healthy systems. Dietary changes and cancer incidence. Since the mid-20th century, our diets have shifted dramatically. Carbohydrates, especially refined sugars and grains, have spiked in consumption. A 2022 study linked this rise to increased rates of obesity and metabolic diseases, which correlate strongly with higher cancer incidence. Cancers of the colon, breast, and pancreas, for example, have climbed alongside these dietary changes. Excess carbs may overfuel cancer cells while promoting inflammation, setting the stage for tumors to grow. Additionally, the widespread use of processed seed oils, rich in pro-inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids, amplifies chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. How a ketogenic diet and fasting starve cancer. The ketogenic diet is a low-carbohydrate, high-fat diet that induces a metabolic state called ketosis. In ketosis, the body shifts from using glucose to using ketones derived from fat as its primary energy source. This metabolic shift has profound implications for cancer therapy. 1. Starving cancer cells. Most cancer cells cannot efficiently use ketones for energy, making them more vulnerable when glucose is restricted. Studies like one from 2023 in BMC Medicine suggest this starves tumors by cutting their fuel supply. 2. Feeding the immune system. Unlike cancer cells, immune cells like T cells and natural killer cells can thrive on ketones, enhancing their tumor-killing activity. 3. Reducing insulin and IGF-1. Lower levels of insulin and insulin-like growth factor. 1. Reduce signals that promote cancer growth. Fasting, whether intermittent or prolonged, complements the ketogenic diet by further depleting glucose and glutamine levels. Fasting also triggers autophagy, a cellular recycling process that removes damaged cells and enhances immune surveillance. It is a common misconception that altering the diet with the intention of changing the body's pH to a less acidic environment for cancer cells is an achievable goal. Unfortunately, this is not practical as the body tightly regulates its pH through various buffering systems, ensuring it remains within a narrow, healthy range regardless of dietary choices. Exercise and oxygen supplementation. Enhancing tumor killing. Physical activity is a powerful tool for cancer prevention and treatment. Exercise improves insulin sensitivity, reduces chronic inflammation, and enhances the body's ability to fight tumors. 1. Increasing circulation. Exercise boosts blood flow, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to tissues. 2. Modulating immune response. Physical activity increases the activity of immune cells like NK cells, which target cancer cells. A 2023 study showed exercise shrinked tumors in mice by revving up immune cells. 3. Inducing metabolic stress. Exercise creates a metabolic environment that is hostile to cancer cells while promoting the health of normal cells. Adding oxygen supplementation during exercise, a technique known as hyperoxic training, may further enhance these benefits. Increased oxygen levels counteract the hypoxic conditions that cancer cells thrive in, making them more susceptible to treatment. Ketogenic diet and specific cancers, what we know. Research on ketogenic diets for cancer is growing, especially for certain types. Here's the latest: brain cancer like glioblastoma. A 2024 clinical trial in BMC Medicine tested a keto diet with glioblastoma patients. Tumors rely heavily on glucose, and keto reduced growth rates in some cases, extending survival by months when paired with standard care. Prostate cancer. Early studies from 2022 suggest keto slows PSA rise in some men, possibly by cutting glucose and insulin, which fuel prostate tumors. Colorectal cancer. A 2023 study found keto reduced tumor size in mice by starving colon cancer cells of glucose, though human trials are ongoing. Pancreatic cancer. Lab research from 2021 shows pancreatic cancer cells crave glutamine. Keto alone slowed growth, but combining it with glutamine blockers worked better in animal models. Lung cancer. Limited data from 2022 hints keto might weaken lung tumors by altering metabolism, but results are mixed and need more study. Breast cancer. A 2023 trial showed keto improved outcomes in triple-negative breast cancer patients, possibly by boosting immune response and cutting glucose. Stomach cancer. Very little data exists, but a 2021 study suggested low-carb diets might reduce risk by lowering inflammation. Liver cancer. Animal studies from 2022 indicate keto could slow liver tumor growth by reducing fat buildup and glucose, though human evidence is sparse. These findings are promising, but not definitive. Keto often works best alongside treatments like chemo or radiation, not as a solo fix. Talk to your doctor before trying it. Cancer type, stage, and your health matter. Key takeaways. 1. Cancer and metabolism. Cancer cells rely on glucose and glutamine fermentation for energy and growth, making them vulnerable to metabolic interventions. 2. Inflammation and diet. Chronic inflammation and high carbohydrate diets fuel cancer growth, while a ketogenic diet and fasting can deprive cancer cells of energy. 3. Exercise and immunity. Regular exercise with or without oxygen supplementation enhances the immune system's ability to kill tumors. By addressing the metabolic and inflammatory roots of cancer, you can take proactive steps to reduce your risk and support your body's natural defenses. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making dietary or lifestyle changes, especially if you are undergoing cancer treatment.